Hello everyone, welcome to Talking Good Games match preview. West Ham United against Burnley. We're going to part the Europa League success just for a week or two and discuss the Premier League as West Ham are still in competition for the top 6 places, qualifying for European football through the Premier League, while the Burnley are trying to stay in the Premier League. And they've done that today, Charlie, by sacking Sean Dyche. Give me your reaction. What's your reaction to sacking Sean Dyche?
I can't quite believe it. I can't quite believe it still, if I'm being honest. I think I haven't been looking, so I haven't seen if there's any sort of deeper reason that's come out for it, apart from the board just lost their bottle with it. But I think it's a bit mad. I think the one thing I don't fully understand from the situation is, I mean, they must have someone lined up. They can't not have someone lined up, because getting rid of someone as good and as safe a pair of hands as you're going to find in Sean Dyche to do this means you must have someone lined up, even if it's not for this game, which feels like, again, you've just sacrificed a game where you didn't need to then, because now we're going to have whoever in charge, a consortium of 8 people, it seemed like when I read it earlier. But what was wild about it for me is I don't understand who could do a better job than Sean Dyche, you know? Like, I've seen a lot of people today on Twitter, for example, talking about, like, semi-joking, semi-being serious, being like, oh, here comes Sam Allardyce. And I'm like, but Sean Dyche is just a better Sam Allardyce. He has the defense isn't the issue at this club. So what are they going to do? Come in and make the defense as good as it was? Like, it's mad, Geo. I don't understand it. I still don't understand it, however many hours after it happened.
Yeah, it shocked me completely, to be honest with you. You didn't see it coming. I mean, earlier, yesterday morning, you're watching this on Saturday morning, Friday morning, 7:45 in the morning, myself and Charlie recorded the Burnley preview, and I got to find out about Sean Dyche. I was like, Charlie, mate, we're going to have to bin this off and go again, unfortunately. That's how shocked I was. I was, wasn't prepared whatsoever. I'm trying to understand it. I'm trying to do my best to understand as to why they've done it. And I guess if you want to remove emotion, you want to remove legacy, which is important. And it's unfair on Sean Dyche to do that, but let's just do that for a moment. Burnley are sitting third bottom in the Premier League, 4 points behind Everton, 8 games to go. I can kind of get why the owners have decided to twist a little bit. They've not been great recently. Performances have been really poor. Results have been poor. They got the win against Everton, but it was not that Burnley played well. It's just that Everton played really bad, and then they sort of scraped it. They got beaten deservedly. They got beat by Norwich. And there's some winnable fixtures on paper. There's some winnable fixtures for the remainder of the season for Burnley. The likes of Watford, Southampton, who are bang at form at the minute, Newcastle at home on the final game of the season. That's got to be a winnable fixture for them. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Burnley board are looking at it thinking, you know what, there's enough there. There's enough points up for grabs to stay in this league. Question is, do we have faith in Sean Dyche delivering those? And they've decided the answer is no. However, then you take into consideration legacy, take into consideration all that Sean Dyche has done. And this is where it's just a sad ending. It's really sad. It's not what Sean Dyche deserves. It's not what the Burnley fans deserve either. He's been there for 9.5 years. The man deserves to take it to the wire. The man deserves to take it to the end of the season. And you know something? Not only that, if Burnley do go down, he deserves next season in Championship to get back up again as well. Give him at least that 1 year. He's done it before. The last time they went down, they had to sell Kieran Trippier. They had to sell Danny Ings. But he'd done it. He overseen those sales and got him straight back up first time of asking. He could do the same again. He's had them punching above their weight. And every single time you ever have a conversation about relegation battles, why might Everton not go down this season? Well, because they've got good players. They've got Richarlison, they've got Calvert-Lewin, they've got Alan, they've got Ben Godfrey, they've got England's number 1 in goal, whatever. They've got good players. Why won't this team go down? Why won't Burnley go down? Because of Sean Dyche. Nobody says because of Jay Rodriguez. Nobody says because of Dwight McNeil, Aaron Lennon, or anything like that. Some people might mention their defense, but most people would say because of Sean Dyche. If they go down, the best person to get them back up again is Sean Dyche. I think it's a huge gamble from the board, but you could argue there's not really much at stake. They were probably going to go down anyway, even if they kept Sean Dyche. So I guess what they're doing is they're just having one massive curveball. I expect someone's waiting in the wings, like you said, and we'll probably find out on Monday. I'd imagine they don't want him in charge for the game at West Ham because it's a fixture they're probably going to lose. Bad start to get off at. It reminds me of, funny enough, it reminds me of Allardyce with West Brom when Bilic went to Man City away, got a point, and they sacked him anyway. And it was basically like Allardyce just doesn't want that fixture as his first game in charge of West Brom because he's probably going to lose. He doesn't want to start with a defeat. He'll have the winnable fixture next week, please. Let Slav do that one, get beaten, sack him. It doesn't really make sense, Charlie. It doesn't really make sense. Do you think this increases or decreases the chances of staying up, or do you think it's a bit of a moot point and doesn't really change anything?
I think it's probably a moot point. I think it's too late. I think if you, I don't know if I didn't know whether or not we were going to reveal that this is the second time we recorded this. Now it's post this, and we were talking about it in the first one, and I came to the conclusion that I thought they were going down anyway.
Yeah,
and so now
this is why I think you are the perfect example to some extent. Say, well, I get it because I thought they were going to get relegated, so.
I understand it, but it's the fact that you can't just bring in a firefighter. It's not like when you see teams who have any sort of attacking flair get rid of their guy and then they bring in someone like an Allardyce to firefight. That can't exist here because you already had someone playing that style of football. It's just not going to change things much. And I think with this many games to go, and this is kind of also why I don't understand why not to do it before. Why sacrificing this game? Because one, you have this new manager bounce idea. I don't know whether or not that's don't know whether facts back it up, but new manager bounce is a thing that exists. But two, you've not got time. You can't just be sacrificing games like this. You can't. Like, as much as it's like you say, they're probably gonna lose, and they are massive and all that. But you've got to put your guy in. Surely he needs as much time as humanly possible to make it work. And if he's not got that, I think it's a moot point. I think they go down anyway. I think the one way it makes sense in my head is whether the person they get in is someone that they want to be the long term. The idea of this is the person who's going to begin the rebuild. This is the person who's going to be doing that. Then it makes sense. But in that case, I still think it's going down, not a foregone conclusion, but I don't think it increases their chances.
Right, gentlemen. Yes, gentlemen, not ladies and gentlemen. Gentlemen, I'm talking to you here. It's spring clean time. Listen, Burnley's had a clear out. Burnley's done their spring cleaning. They've got rid of Sean Dyche. You're going through the kitchen cabinets. You're going into your garden. You're getting a lawnmower out for the first time. Well, don't stop there. Get in the bathroom and get your lawnmower out there as well. It's time to trim the bush, cut the grass, and make the tree look bigger. And you can do that over on Manscaped. Manscaped at the minute, I've got their performance package deal. Now, you bought everything individually. I'll tell you what you get in just a minute. You bought everything individually. It would come to £209. Manscaped are selling the package at £110. However, wait. You use the Hammers Chat code, which is just Hammers Chat, no spaces. All the details are in the description. Use that code, they give you 20% off everything, taking it down to £96. So for £96, you're getting £209 worth of products and free shipping worldwide. Don't matter where you live, you can get this deal and get it delivered to your door using the code Hammers Chat. So what do you get in your bundle? You get the lawnmower 4. This is the bad boy that does all the business. This is your lawnmower that gets rid of your bush downstairs, keeps you looking good. You also get the weed whacker. I don't have one of them, but Gonzo does. It's for your hooter and for your lugs. I'm not that old. Gonzo's at that age, though. He's trimming the old lug hair. That's something I have to worry about. But you get the weed whacker as well. You also get your ball toner and your ball deodorant for keeping yourself healthy downstairs, as well as a handy travel bag and a nice pair of boxers. But don't worry, you don't have to get the performance package. Head over to Manscaped, anything you like the look of, get into your basket, but ask for the code Hammers Chat. I'll take 20% off absolutely everything, free shipping worldwide. And a massive thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring the videos. Charlie, back to Burnley. Now, forget today. Yes. Dyche, whatever. Why are Burnley in the bottom 3? What's gone wrong for Burnley this season?
I think it's the sum of the parts issue. I think if you're the one of the ways I would always describe Burnley is they're better than the sum of their parts. You know, like we say, they do have some key players, they do have some good players. But I think what you were saying earlier about it's not because of them they would have stayed up. It's because of Sean Dyche, and I think they have a team effort, a team ethos, a way of playing everything. That means that, you know, although they've got some good players, they outperform probably where they would finish consistently. They survive consistently because of that. They got into Europe because of that. And I think the problem with that is when it requires everyone to be on top of their game. And when people drop off that, then inevitably you drop down. And so, you're looking at the likes of, Chris Wood before he left. You're looking at the likes of Ashley Barnes. You're looking at the likes of Tarkowski, Ben Mee. These are players who are good players, decent players, but clearly not fit and firing on all cylinders right now this season. And you can't have, when you're better than the sum of your parts, really even having one player out of form, not pulling their weight, makes it a huge problem. But when you've got quite a few, all of a sudden it's you drop.
It's lack of goals for me, Charlie. Lack of goals. Clean sheets win your titles. Goals keep you in the Premier League. And if you're down the bottom, if you're down the bottom of the Premier League, you're going to concede goals. Unfortunately, you are one of the worst teams in the league. You will concede goals. You just got to accept it to some extent. And I think, like you said, tighten up the defence. If that's what they want to do, that's fine. But then what? You've still got the same issue. You're not scoring goals. Chris Wood was hardly banging in goals prior to his departure. Jay Rodriguez ain't scoring. Ashley Barnes is too old now. Weghorst has come in. It's not really working for him. I think Sean Dyche is struggling to get the best out of him. I think that's part of the problem, where it's like a big money signing and Sean Dyche ain't getting him scoring goals. That's an issue. Cornet looked like he was going to be the guy to score the goal, got injured, went to African Nations, come back. He's now playing left midfield in the last couple of games. Just no goals in this Burnley team. Good players, but no goals. And to be fair, I think they are where they should be in terms of their squad ability. And after a Premier League, when you've been in the Premier League for as long as Burnley have now, thanks to Dyche, I think it might be a bit harsh, but almost like, well, you're an established team now. This is a Sean Dyche team now. It's like there's no excuses really. But I guess the caveat to that, the counter argument is, well, they've spent £20 million net in 5 years. It's ridiculous. How you can't survive on that, unfortunately. And I hope they would. I really hope they would show other clubs that actually, when you get promoted to Premier League, you don't need to break the bank. Unfortunately, all Burnley's done is strengthen the case that you do need to, because we saw when Norwich came up last season, Karen Brady told them via a newspaper, "Oh well, you're going to need to spend money." And I said, "Well, no, we don't. That's not what we do." And they went down. 1-0 Karen Brady. Well, Burnley going down. 2-0 Karen Brady, unfortunately. It's a shame. It is a real shame for Burnley fans and Sean Dyche. But last question before we move on to West Ham, Charlie, is any players you admire from the Turf Moor?
Yeah, like I say, I think there's a few. I think Dwight McNeil is there's players there who would stay in the Premier League. Dwight McNeil, Pope, Tarkowski probably would. Ben Mee probably would. Charlie, the left back Taylor, I think he's decent. I think he's got a cross on him. I like him quite. I think he's not bad at all. And then the other person, Geo, as you know, I like an all action midfielder, Brownhill. I think he's decent. I think it's one of these players who's not going to set the world on fire, but you certainly would look at him as someone who could quite easily stay in the Premier League. I think they've got a few. They've got a few decent Premier League quality players there. And then you've got your stars in your Dwight McNeils and your Nick Popes, who can play for England if they're in form. They can play for England. Push for England. Nick Pope's probably arguably the second best English goalkeeper. So, yeah, there's a few decent players. There's a few decent players in that team.
Yeah, the problem is we're discussing sort of ability rather than form, aren't we? Because I think that's exactly the category for Dwight McNeil. A couple of years ago, I thought he looked like one of the best young wingers in England, essentially. I think his form's not quite been that great over a long period now. One of the best crossers from open play. Burnley used to feed off that. He stopped his fantastic crosses. Burnley stopped scoring goals. Is it a coincidence? Maybe. I'm not too sure. I think Charlie Taylor is one of the most underrated left backs in the league. Never gets the plaudits he deserves, really. Very reliable. Nothing fancy. Doesn't score goals or anything, but he does a job. Very solid defensively. He's almost like Burnley's Ben Johnson to some extent, where you ask a neutral about Ben Johnson, they'll say who. Doesn't mean he's a bad player. He just doesn't, for some reason, doesn't get the recognition he deserves. So plenty of good players, and they'll get picked apart, Burnley. I think that'd be my worry if I was a Burnley fan. There's 6 or 7 players there that could get moved to the Premier League club. On the other side of it, there's 6 or 7 players like Jack Cork, Roberts, Lowton, Collins. They'll still be at Burnley next season Championship. A good team to build on for the next manager. Now, moving on to West Ham, but before we do, the boats are open tomorrow on Sunday. If you fancy joining us for a beer and a barbecue, we're 2 minutes from the London Stadium, just on the canal behind the Billy Bone stand. You can get your tickets via the link in the description below. Tickets are free, but you need to register and get one. because we're at full capacity these days. So when you turn up, we can only let so many people on. So we can only let people on that's got a ticket. So get your ticket. It's family friendly as well. Barbecue, beers, all that good stuff. Check details below. Click on the link, read the details, and join us on Sunday if you wish. Now, Charlie, let's talk about our team then. One of the biggest myths in football: never change a winning team. I hate it. I absolutely hate that saying. I hate it when it's used as an argument. When you're like, oh, I want to see this team, and someone wants to see the same team as the game before, they say, I'll never change a winning team. I think, well, just at least have a debate with me rather than just throw that myth at me. But anyway, Cresswell's back, though. Aaron Cresswell's back, obviously suspended for Thursday night. We don't have a game for another week after this one, which I think helps. And I think we know what Moyes will do, but this isn't about what Moyes will do. This is about what you want to do, Charlie Walsh. And let's start with the goalkeeper, because we've been flip-flopping all season. Do you want to continue to flip-flop and put Fabianski in goal, or would you like to keep Areola in for this one?
I want to keep Areola in for form's sake at this point. I think when we did this before, you made a really good point about the fact that, we want him to be fit and firing on all cylinders when we go into the next games. And I think taking him out when he's just had such a good game, because I thought he's been really good. I want to see that continue. I don't quite know. I don't think any of us know, including any Burnley fans, know what's going to happen in terms of how they're going to play, how they're going to set up. I suspect it will be relatively similar to a Sean Dyche team, but I just want to see that continue. I really like Areola, and I want him to be the guy who stays at the end of the season, sticks around, because I think it's such a good deal, and I think he's such a good player. And I think the only way we do that is by keeping him in good form, and I think this is a good opportunity for that.
Yeah, he's in good form, good confidence from him. He's got a bit of momentum. Another world-class save against Lyon, which won't get spoken about because it was at 3-0, whereas the one against Sevilla, just a good a save, possibly better, but just a good a save. 0-0, such a crucial time, so people speak about that save. But I think he just fills me with more confidence. I think he's catching from crossing. I agree with you. I think Burnley will play relatively the same. At the end of the day, Sean Dyche has been training with something on the training ground for a week now. I'd be very surprised if the people in charge on Sunday are all Sean Dyche's men as well. I know the assistant manager, first team coach, and goalkeeper coach have left, but those that are in charge, including Ben Mee, for some strange reason, is one of the people in charge. They're all Sean Dyche people, mindsets. Yeah. I assume the tactics will continue. The only thing that might change is they might make one or two personnel changes in comparison to what Sean Dyche was going to play, but I don't think it'll be anything dramatic. So if Dyche was going to play Westwood and Brownhill in midfield, this team might say, oh no, we'll have Cork and Brownhill in midfield. Same tactics, just different personnel. So for that, I think we should expect crosses. We should expect them to try and attack us through the air in that way. I think Areola is better in the air, so I'd like him in goal for this one. Back four, Charlie, how would you like it to look?
Cresswell would come back in for me. I think that's as simple as you like. Diop and Dawson pick themselves at this point. As much as I want to see Elise get game time in West Ham, not right now. I think this is the correct decision. And at right back, I'm undecided now, Geo. I was saying before Fredericks. Fredericks was my guy before. I made a very impassioned argument that I don't know if I could repeat twice because it was very off the I can't nail that one twice. But I'm sort of now undecided, mainly because I'm not entirely certain how they'll play. I think I'm still going to stick with Fredericks for the exact same reasons I said before. So the idea being that, Burnley are quick on the counter. That's their whole thing. They're going to soak up pressure. They're going to sit deep, and they're going to try and just contain. Then when they get the opportunity, they ping it out. Long balls, usually aimed towards looking at wingers. You're looking at the likes of Cornet on the left. You're looking at the likes of Aaron Lennon somehow on the right hand side, and you're hitting it quick. And in that sense, he's very quick from defense to transition. Attack to defense transitions is Fredericks. It's one of his key strengths, usually because he's out of position, but he's good to get back into it. He does that rapidly, and I think that's useful. And the other thing is I like his pullbacks. He's the one fullback who I know we have who tries to do something a bit different. Everyone else on our fullbacks, they're going to look to get those crosses in. They're going to look to put them into the box easily, which something Burnley can deal with. They've got a lot of big geezers at the back, and they tend to, if not even deal with that. They tend to invite that because they're very confident they can deal with that kind of thing. And that's what most of our fullbacks do, apart from Fredericks, who gets to the line, pulls it back. And that's something I've never really thought Burnley were that good at dealing with. And I'd quite like us to take advantage of that. And I think as much as when a defensive manager leaves their post, people often talk about there being sort of hangover existing of, stuff. One of their centre-backs is apparently going to be managing the game. So there might be even a little bit more disarray in the centre-back department before. And I think having someone who's just going to get to the line and pull it back can maybe engender a bit of panic and stuff. So I'll stick with the call I made earlier and say Ryan Fredericks on this.
Yeah, your argument wasn't as convincing this time around, actually.
No, it wasn't at all.
Your first one made me think, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. This one, I think it's because I've heard it before. So people watching this might be like, all right, I'm Team Fredericks here. I'm Team Ben Johnson. And now I'm speaking on behalf of Charlie here. The reason we haven't included Soufal is just because he's just back from injury. That's it. He's played Sunday, played Thursday. Let's just leave. Let's give him a little bit of a rest. Keep him on the bench certainly for the game, but give him a little bit of a rest for this one and not rush him back in too quickly. Ben Johnson for me, yes, he played against Lyon on Thursday, but prior to that, didn't play against Brentford. The other Lyon game only played 45 minutes, so I don't think fitness is an issue for him. I think he was superb against Lyon. He's in good form. Get him on the right back thing. Offensively, I've always had doubts about it, but I thought he was fantastic on Thursday. His crossing was really good, got forward really strongly. And he may be up against Cornet. They're arguably their best player, if you want. If you want to just summarize it, Declan Rice is our best player. That's their best player. I want to have a really good defensive option up against him for sure. So Ben Johnson goes in for me. Declan Rice has to start, as simple as that, really. But who would you like to partner Declan Rice?
This is one of the changes I'm making. So I still want it. Originally, I said Krau. I'm not bottling it. I'll tell you why. Yeah. Originally, I said Krau, and I still I would not complain. I still think there's something to be got out from Krau. I'm not like someone. I'm not one of the people who say that. But because I don't know what they're gonna bring, because I'm not entirely certain what's gonna happen. I think having the added experience, having the everything Mark Noble brings, is the right call.
You're stealing my team here.
No, because I'm still backing Ryan Fredericks. Otherwise, I could have just changed it. But I think Mark Noble is now the right shout. Before, I thought it was Krau. I liked the idea of it. I liked letting Declan Rice maraud and all that other sort of stuff. Now I think I just want to have. I want to play it. It's a little bit safer, I think, to go with Mark Noble than it is to go with Alex Krau. And whereas before I was 100% certain what Burnley were going to bring to the table, I'm now a little bit less certain, and because of that, I think I would rather go with Noble, because I agree with you. I don't think Rice loses. I think Rice needs to stay in, and I think Souček needs the rest. So I would play it.
Yeah, Souček needs a rest for me as well. Again, have him on the bench in case we need him.
Yeah.
But this is one of a few games I think I look at and think, Mark Noble will be fine in this one. I think Burnley are a physical team in the middle of the pitch. I did an opposition preview with a Burnley fan last night, but I also done one on their channel as well, and he said to me that their weakness is the middle of the pitch. He says, you'll dominate us in the middle. He said, you basically said, it doesn't matter who plays with Declan Rice, you will dominate us. We'll struggle, we won't be able to contain you. So for that reason, I think it encouraged me a bit more to put Mark Noble in there. Actually, we're going to have the lion's share of possession in this game, I imagine. So let's have one of our best passers on the pitch in order to accommodate that. Plus, I think Noble next to Rice would allow Rice to get forward a little bit more. I felt he was a little bit more adventurous, Declan, against Lyon on Thursday evening. I thought he got forward a little bit more. Nothing too irresponsible, but just crack forward a little bit. And I think when Noble there allows him to do that, and I'm aware of what you're saying with Burnley countering quickly, but it doesn't necessarily mean the counter with pacey players, if that makes sense. They're direct is how I would maybe say it. So for that reason, I don't really see a centre midfielder for Burnley that's going to expose Mark Noble unless they have a drastic formation change and start playing a number 10 or something. I'm not convinced they will. So Mark Noble in with Rice for me alongside Lanzini for obvious reasons. I know you'd like to see Lanzini as well, but your other three players in the attacking positions, your left, right, and middle, pardon me, please.
Benram on the left. I think this is a really good opportunity for him. And Yarmolenko on the right. I think that's both. I think you're going to get a lot of time and space in and around the area on the ball, and I want people who can take advantage of that. You know, I want people who are going to be able to cut inside and look to drive towards the D and try to expose those sort of issues. And that's frankly they're the two best players that we have for doing that from those sort of positions. I think Jarrod Bowen obviously is better than Yarmolenko, but outside of that, I think they're the best options. And I quite want to give both Fornals and Bowen a rest because of that. I think they had incredible performances in the Europa League game. I think they were vital to that. And I think they had to go non-stop, back forward, non-stop. And I quite like the idea of giving them a little bit of time. Like you say, having them on the bench because Jesus Christ, you need something to happen. You need a goal. There's one person in this team I trust to actually score right now. It's Jarrod Bowen. So, but yeah, I would give them a rest and I would go with Yarmolenko and Ben Rama because of it.
And that leaves Antonio up front for you.
We literally have no one else. So yeah, I quite like. I like the idea of playing Perkins. I like the idea of putting a youth player up front, but I just think this isn't the game for that. Unfortunately, if Norwich rolls around after the Frankfurt game, yeah, we can talk about it then. We can maybe have a conversation then. But against a team like Burnley, who the one thing you can say is their defense is relatively good. Lots of big, powerful players, and no offense to Sonny Perkins, doesn't cut the most imposing figure. I don't think he's gonna get in a battle with them and really beat him for strength or anything. So I don't think he's gonna have a lot of time space in the box either. So for me, yeah, I guess you just have to at this point.
Yeah, I agree with Ben Ram and Antonio, but I disagree massively with the Jarrod Bowen thing. I think he has to start. I'm aware of what you're saying. I watched the game back earlier, the West Ham Lyon game, watched it back earlier. And with about 15 minutes ago, Bowen's dead. He's not moving. The last 5 minutes, 5-10 minutes of the game, Jarrod Bowen will not move. He can't. He's giving it his all. But this is a huge game for us. It's easy, and it's hard not to actually, but it's easy to get swept up in the Europa League excitement to almost forget how pivotal this game is. Because if we go out against Frankfurt, I don't think we will. I'm quite confident. I'm feeling quite good about it. But if we go out against Frankfurt, we've got to make sure that our Premier League is in order, that we can still qualify for European football next season. We've got to be finishing 6th minimum in the Premier League. This game is a must-win. It is an absolute must-win. This one, Norwich, and then we've got some tricky customers in Chelsea and Arsenal as well. But that's part of the reason we need to pick up 3 points for this one, so that if we don't do great against Chelsea and Arsenal with Frankfurt on the horizon as well, it's almost okay to some extent. We need to win. We need to win on Sunday.
Is there any game coming up you would rest Jarrod Bowen? That's kind of why the way I look at it to some extent. Because I don't think
it depends. I don't
think you can in either of the Europa League games. I don't think you can in either of the Premier League games against the big clubs. Norwich is maybe the next one where you could risk it, but outside of that, I don't think you can for any of those games.
No, but the problem is I don't have context here. So let's say we win against Burnley, we then somehow win against Chelsea. Then all of a sudden, I think that Arsenal game, you think like we can probably sacrifice points here. We can probably leave Jarrod Bowen on the bench for this one if we need to. But I just don't think it's this Sunday, Charlie. I think it's a must-win. I'm not saying he needs to play the 90 minutes, but he needs to start. He's our best goal scorer. He's the biggest. If we want to score, we need to have the best goal scorers on the pitch and the best people at creating goal scoring opportunities on the pitch. And Jarrod Bowen's both of those players. Jarrod Bowen has to start on Sunday. He's undroppable. He's like Declan Rice for me. Declan Rice status at West Ham now, which is undroppable, untouchable, must start. If he's fit, he starts. If he's 80% fit, he does something. I'd rather have an 80% Jarrod Bowen in fitness. Now, when I say that, I mean fatigue, not he's half injured. Let's risk him.
Sure.
In terms of fatigue, I'd rather have an 80% Jarrod Bowen start than anyone else, because I trust an 80% Jarrod Bowen more than I do a 100% Vlasic or a 100% Ben Rama or 100% Yarmolenko. I trust that 80% Bowen more. I do. He has to start, Charlie. Bowen must be playing on Sunday afternoon. He has to. Anyway, huge game, difficult game, because it just got more harder with the sacking of Sean Dyche. Not necessarily because Burnley's got better, but Burnley's just got more unpredictable. And that's what I think adds a bit of a danger element. And Moyes' job's got a little bit tougher, really, because how do you prepare for this Burnley game when you don't know what they're going to do? You don't even know who the manager is. Are you confident?
Yes. Strangely, I'm more confident than I was.
I was
When
going
we
to ask
spoke,
you that because when we did the preview yesterday morning, we were both relatively comfortable and confident going into it.
yeah.
You've seemed like you're hesitating there, though, but then you've just said you're a bit more confident than you
No, I
were.
think I'm. If anything, I think I'm more confident. I mean, I the way I broke it down before was the idea of: do I think Burnley will score? Probably not. Do I think they'll concede? Probably. And I think at this point, their lack of certainty, I think if anything plays into our hands to some extent. Don't get me wrong, it's going to make it difficult to predict. Like before, we had a very clear idea of what Burnley were going to do. Now it's a bit fuzzy. We're not entirely certain. We suspect it will still be Sean Dyche-esque, but we're not thinking it's going to be this, it's going to be this, it's going to be this. Like we don't know it in that sort of same sense. But I think that kind of plays into our hands a little bit because Burnley, with Sean Dyche, was set up perfectly to counter West Ham, right? They're a team who sit deep. They make it difficult for you to get in. They did everything that we don't like teams to do, right? It was perfect for them in certain instances. Whereas now they're in a lot of pressure. They've got a new manager coming in, but not yet. There's maybe there's maybe some temptation from them to try and go a little bit more for it than previously. Because you're saying today it's a must-win for us. It's potentially even bigger for them.
It's a free hit for them, though.
It is. Don't get me wrong. It is, but that might also like make them vibe going forward even more. And any essence of them even stepping out of that usual bracket that they do, I think plays into our hands. Because we're not a team who are very good at breaking teams down. We're not gonna, if you sit deep, we're gonna struggle to really break you down. And so if they even hesitate, if they even like, oh, maybe we'll go a little bit, maybe we'll step one step further forward than we usually would. That's going to play massively into our hands. And so, if anything, I think I'm maybe a little bit more, despite not knowing a single thing about how they're going to come at us. If anything, I think I might be a little bit more confident than I was.
I'm feeling confident. I'm feeling comfortable. I don't think my confidence has changed at all since the sacking of Sean Dyche. And this is going to sound extremely arrogant, but I don't really care. We're too good. We're just better than them. No, honestly, we are better than them. I mean, we turn up like we did. And this is obviously depending on fatigue levels and whatnot. But we play like we did against Lyon. We win regardless of what they come up with on Sunday and who plays for Burnley on Sunday. And I can't decide if the sacking's a good thing or not for West Ham. Part of me is like, well, it's a free hit now. The caretaker manager ain't going to have this job Monday onwards. It's not going to be his gig. So he might as well go out all guns blazing on Sunday and see what's what. But it gives him an opportunity to present himself to the Burnley board and say, oh, yeah, I can stay in charge. If he wins, he's surely going to get to keep the job for another week at least. So he can make a bit of a name for himself. And I say he because I don't even know his name. I couldn't tell you who his name is. I think it's the under 23s manager stepped up, but Ben Mee was the one that noticed was partly involved and somewhat amused me. But we've done our hypothetical 11s, which is what we want to see. When you're doing this confidence bit, you get rid of what you want to see and you bring in what you think Moyes is going to do. And Moyes is going to play the same team. I assume he will bring in Aaron Cresswell for Sufalo, Ben Johnson, and that will be the only change. The rest of the team will remain the same. Fabianski and goal. I'm okay with that. If they're all fit enough, they're all ready to go. I'm good with that. And you cannot underestimate the feeling that the boys are going to have after Thursday night. We've seen it, the celebrations and stuff. They're going to take that out into the pitch. The fans there on Sunday are going to be buzzing. They're going to be extremely excited to be playing Burnley because of what happened on Thursday night in France. And I just think there's too much elements which points to a West Ham win going into this one. I don't fear Burnley. I probably should, but I really don't. And like I said, I'm aware it comes across as arrogant. And part of the reason is I'm giving Moyes a massive benefit of the doubt here, and I'm probably clutching at straws, right? But last Sunday against Brentford, it was very un-Moyes-like because of the attitude and stuff. I'm generally putting it down to Moyes just telling them not to put the pedal up, not to press too hard on the gas, just to be a little bit reserved. I think Moyes has trusted Bowen, Rice, Souček playing at 70% more than he did Aguilar not playing at 100%. Because that performance against Brentford was so un-Moyes-like in terms of attitude and stuff. Like, I don't mind getting beat. We've been beaten. We'll get beaten again this season, but we will always give 100%. The attitude will always be spot on. Against Brentford, it was alarmingly Moyes like. So you can't switch it on and off like that, because then against Lyon we're perfect. So I almost think Moyes almost told them to be a little bit cautious. Went into that game knowing the other results and stuff. So I'm feeling really good, Charlie. Feeling really good. Massive game, must win. I think we will win. So can I get your score prediction, please, my friend?
Yeah, I think you're maybe giving a bit too much of the benefit of the doubt on the Brentford thing.
Maybe,
but I think I see the logic, to be fair. It's not like I don't see the logic. And at halftime, you came on and said the exact same thing on the watch along, of like, let's see what we do in the second half, because I feel like we're gonna do something. We didn't, but I see the logic. I think it makes sense. Yeah, look, like I said, will they score? I doubt it. Will we? I don't doubt it. And I think that's the key here. I think this will be a clean sheet. I'm confident of the performance. The one thing, obviously, I'm bringing in the changes. I'm rotating people for this game. But I agree with you. I don't think Moyes will, and I think that will be a benefit to some extent. I think everyone's going to have massive confidence going into this game. They've just had the biggest result, arguably, of some of their careers. They're like an insanely huge win, and that can only work wonders going into a situation like Burnley where there's nothing but doubt right now. So I'm confident, I'm feeling it, I'm vibing it. I'm saying 2-0 West Ham. I'm saying 2-0 West Ham.
We don't play for another week. So against Brentford, you could forgive the players for having one eye on Thursday night away in France, second leg and stuff. We don't have that distraction. Yes, we've got Frankfurt coming up, but there's still another Premier League game to go after this one before we play Frankfurt. I think the Frankfurt thing's parked for a week at least. We don't need to worry about it at all. And I'm going to go for a very comfortable West Ham 2, Burnley 0 on Sunday afternoon. Now it's a 2 p.m. kickoff, ladies and gentlemen. So at 12:55, we'll be live with our build-up show. So if you're going to the game, enjoy it. Tickets for the boats in the description below. But if you're not going to the game, please come along and join us. 12:55 for our build-up show, our watch-along, and then our review immediately after the game as well. If you've enjoyed this preview, drop a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. Myself, Charlie and Gonzo. Catch you in a bit.